execution by this little guy who's been amazing all year.
No question, he got it off. No reason to go to the monitor. It was clear it left his hand with about a second to go, so no controversial ending at all. It's good. Connecticut wins.
In the 3 years spent with the Connecticut Huskies, Kemba Walker managed to become the face of the university and earn his spot on their trophy wall forever. This shot was more than enough to immortalize Kemba Walker as one of UConn's legends. It helped them advance into the Big East semifinals, and after that, it was also the Kemba Show. They won all 5 games in the Eastern Conference tournament, while Walker set the record for the most total points scored with 130. After beating the Butler Bulldogs in the Grand Finals, the Huskies were officially the 2011 NCAA champions, and you probably could guess who won the award for the most outstanding player. Everything seemed like Kemba was going to be the next big thing. So what happened? When he got drafted back in 2011, everyone thought he'd be one of the best point guards in the league. And mind you that this was a very good draft class with Kyrie Irving going at number 1. Kemba was selected before players like Klay Thompson, Kawhi Leonard, and Jimmy Butler. They all went to have bigger careers than him. So today we're trying to find out what went wrong and how good of a player Kemba Walker was actually. Hello basketball fans, and welcome to Hoop Vision. Before we dive in, make sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It takes only a second, costs nothing, and will give you access to more basketball stories. If you take a look at how his journey started, Kemba's story might be one of the biggest underachievers in the NBA. Before joining the league, he was named first-team All-American, got robbed of winning the Oscar Robertson Trophy, finishing second in votes to Jimmer Fredette. He's also won the Bob Cousy Award for the best point guard in America and was added to the Huskies of Honor, a UConn's wall of legends shared with some really good players like Rudy Gay and Ray Allen. So it was logical to think Kemba would make the league his highlight reel. Back then, Michael Jordan was still a big-time owner of the Charlotte Bobcats, and all the media was buzzing how he could mentor Walker into becoming one of the all-time great point guards. Unfortunately, that did not happen. In Walker's first season with the Bobcats, they went on to break the record for the least wins in a single season, ending up with only 7 of them and racking up 59 losses. In their defense, that was the infamous lockout season, so we'll give them the benefit of the doubt they'd probably win more games if the season was extended to 82 games. Still, it was a horrible year and probably not what the franchise had in mind. Kemba finished 11th in Rookie of the Year voting, averaging a modest 12 points and 4 assists on very poor efficiency. The second year showed some promise, as he upped his points to almost 18 and improved his defense, averaging 2 steals per game. Kemba's percentages started looking like he was actually an NBA player, and everyone including him was ready to forget that embarrassment of a season that happened a year before. Unfortunately, the Bobcats continued being the Bobcats. They couldn't find their rhythm at all and never won more than 3 games in a row that year. The season didn't start so bad, as they won 7 out of their first 10 games, one of those being Kemba's game winner against the Wolves. However, it was all downhill from there. The only positive of that season was that he and Michael Kidd-Gilchrist got selected for the Rising Stars Challenge. Everything else was horrible. Charlotte ended up having the worst defensive rating in the league and 28th offensively out of 30. Everyone started asking questions whether Kemba and MKG could pull the franchise out of the depths. A glimpse of hope came next season when the Bobcats made it to the playoffs with a record of 43-39. For a team that had only 7 wins 2 seasons before, that was like breaking the Bulls' 72 wins record. For the first time since joining the league, Kemba looked like the player he was back at UConn. The reason for that probably lies in a meeting he had with Michael Jordan the summer after his sophomore season. The arrival of MKG was hyped by the media, and the talks about Walker having to take the backseat for his teammate started circling around. Jordan called him into his office and reminded him that he was the one insisting the Bobcats draft him. MJ wanted him to be more aggressive, and Walker understood the assignment. When Michael Jordan says he believes in you, you don't have much choice other than to step up and give your best. Walker went on to have a really good season, averaging almost the same numbers but playing way more mature, which is why the Bobcats managed to slide their way into the postseason. Unfortunately for them, it was the time LeBron's Heat dominated the league, so Charlotte couldn't do anything against the reigning champions, suffering a first-round sweep. That would also be the last time the franchise would play as the Bobcats, hoping to end an era of losing and start fresh with a new logo and a new name. The first game as the Charlotte Hornets promised a bright future for the team as they went on to come back from a 24-point deficit, led by none other than Walker. He hit the game-tying 3 with less than 2 seconds on the clock and sealed the game against the Bucks later in the overtime. Just one day after, the Hornets awarded their star with a $48 million extension, and everything seemed to be going in the right direction for the franchise. Less than a month later, Walker hit another game game winner against the Knicks, and was racking up 30-point games followed by a career high against Orlando. Unfortunately, the great beginning of the season was jinxed by the knee injury. In January 2015, Walker had to have a surgery to repair a torn lateral meniscus and would miss out on 18 games, which was enough to ruin the Hornets' season and prevent them from reaching the playoffs. The next year, Kemba was on a comeback mission, setting the franchise record in points scored with 52 against Utah. The Hornets ended up as the 6th seed and faced the Miami Heat in the first round. This was not LeBron's Heat anymore, but they still couldn't get past them. However, it took 7 games for Miami to advance to the second round, making Charlotte's loss even more heartbreaking. On top of that, Kemba scared them off having to undergo another knee surgery during the summer, but would go on to be fine before the start of the next season. He'd go on to make his first All-Star appearance, and the newfound confidence really showed. He went on to average 20+ points for the next 5 straight seasons. His first 3 All-Star games came while he was with Charlotte. But despite his performances, the team couldn't reach the postseason no matter what. After nearly a decade, it was time to move on for both Walker and the Hornets. Kyrie was going to Brooklyn after a disappointing episode in Boston, and that's where the opportunity presented itself. One of the biggest teams in all sports was in need of a point guard. Kemba was up for the challenge, so he agreed on a sign and trade deal worth $141 million over 4 years. Unfortunately, both injuries and circumstances would prevent him from having a great time with the Celtics. His first season there was interrupted by COVID when the entire world went into panic mode. We all remember the bubble and how crazy that season was. That year was also when Jimmy Butler showed up huge for Miami in the conference finals, so Kemba had to watch another playoffs run slip away. The neck and the knee injury would also mess him up in the 2020 and 21 season, where he had to skip 2 games against the Nets, who eliminated the Celtics in the first round, ending Kemba's journey in Boston and his hopes of pursuing the title with them. After this episode in his career, one thing was obvious to everyone. Kemba Walker was not the same player anymore. The Celtics traded him to OKC, who passed him on to New York, where he'd play only less than half a season. What followed was a trade to the Pistons, who passed him on to Dallas, but this time it was even worse. Kemba would play only 9 games for them, quickly finding his way out of the league. The bitter ending of his NBA journey forced him to seek redemption outside of the US. He went on to sign for AC Monaco, a club competing in the EuroLeague, which sometimes can be a good place for bouncing back. However, Kemba played only 26 games for them, spent some time on the bench due to injuries, and decided to officially call it quits on July 3rd, 2024. Although retired, Kemba's basketball road didn't end there. Right now, Walker is a member of Charlotte Hornets staff, where he'll be in charge of working on players' development. Witnessing how many former point guards have taken on coaching roles, there's no doubt we'll see him suiting up in the future. Whether it'll be for Charlotte or some other organization, Kemba will probably do just fine, considering he was used to running plays and organizing the team's entire offense. That's it for today, Hoop Fam. We hope you've enjoyed this video. Let us know in the comments, what do you think of Kemba Walker's career, and would it look different if he was surrounded by more talented players? Thank you for watching and growing this channel. Make sure you don't miss out on more NBA stories by hitting that subscribe button. See you in the next one.